So this is a continuation of from the previous video where we talked about recall and bringing out another female. She's just turned a year old, and I've done a lot of the foundational stuff that I talked about in the previous video with the dog being near you, the radius, wanting the dog to operate around. And the main thing that you have to understand with recall is if the dog doesn't want to be with you in a in an environment like this where it isn't very distracting, what chance do you have when you go to a park or anywhere else for the dog to want to be with you? So the first things you want to prove when you're at home is, does the dog want to be with me? So a lot of it comes down to relationship. It comes down to the bond you have with your dog. And once you have that, then you can start setting up proxies where you test the dog out, whether you take him to a place that you know isn't going to be as busy or people don't want to walk past, have him on a long line, and then just see, does the dog want to go and sniff and do all these different things, or do they want to hang around you? When you have a dog that's constantly checking in with you, seeing what you're doing, then you know that you've built the foundation, you've built the trust, so that now you can start asking the dog for a formal recall. And then once the dog completely knows what recall means in every different environment and you've proved it, then you can ask for accountability. But a lot of people, what they tend to do is they rush and they hold the dog accountable, and the dog doesn't even fully understand what is being asked of him yet. So when you call the dog might know what a recall means in this environment, but you go to the next door neighbor's house, the context has changed, and dogs are very contextual. They learn from being exposed to different environments and then saying, oh, okay, this means the same thing here, this means the same. So it's up to you to make sure you teach that to your dog. Once you've done that, then you can start asking for the recall. So normally what I would do is, if the dog's sniffing and distracted, she knows that we're not working at the moment, but I can call her back, and I'm not going to call her back unless I've got something that she's going to enjoy or something that she really wants from me. Piper, here. Yeah. Wow. Wow, good girl. Ready? Yeah. So I'm like really engaging with the dog. The dog wants to do stuff. She's active. Yeah. It's fun. Oh. Oh, he's over there. And you just want to have fun with the dog. Bye, here. Yeah. Ooh. And that's another thing that I like to do, is play ball games, which teaches the dog to bring the ball back to you. A lot of people struggle to play fetch. And then I tie that in with the recall so that it's a really impressive recall. Yeah. See, the dog comes in, full speed, full commitment, drops the ball. Then we re-engage the play, and then I recall her again. Viper, here. Yeah. Oh, good girl. Good girl. Wow, so strong. Yeah. And that's fine. If you've got a really strong dog that's more on the working lines, they will be a bit more possessive, so you will have to work on that. But once you do that, you will see that the focus comes up a lot and the recall is nice and snappy. Yeah, wee. So do this a couple times. Don't bore the dog out. Yeah. All right, free, gone, done, free. no more. So you don't want to bore the dog out. You need to give it time like this as well, where you give it a command, means free, means go do whatever you want. Then when I need her to re-engage with me, then I can ask her. But if I allow the dog to be just engaged with me non-stop, it just chips away slowly at the engagement and the relationship, because I'm not going to be fun all the time. So I need to pick and choose when I ask the dog to give me 100% attention. If I ask the dog to give me 100% attention 100% of the time, the dog doesn't have time to do what it wants to do, and then the dog will start falling apart, because obviously at the end of the day, they're animals and they have needs and they want to smell things, they want to explore and they want to do different things. So I'm not going to deprive the dog of that. But the beautiful thing is, if you have a command, like I just said, just give her the free command, done, and she's off wandering. And then if I need to bring her back, I'll call her name, I'll recall her, and she's not allowed to check out until she's been given the release. So a lot of this, you're probably wondering, what does this have to do with recall? This has everything to do with recall, because this is basically how you communicate with your dog. You basically, if you're trying to communicate with your dog, one dog's you're speaking Chinese and the dog's speaking a different language, there's no communication going on. But when I say to the dog, this is what's expected, and when I say this, you can do this, and you make it really clear and transparent, then the dog thrives, because dogs are creatures of habit and they like having a routine. So when you give them a routine, or when you give them boundaries and guidelines, they actually become more confident, because then they know when they've done something right and they know when they've done something wrong. Dogs aren't inherently evil. They're not, when you recall them, they're not choosing to ignore you because they hate you. You just haven't made it clear enough what you expect and what the consequences are. So you cannot really blame the dog for not recalling. It means that what you've done, what you've taught that dog in that moment just wasn't strong enough to compete with the environmental factors. So what I like to do after this is, once I've done the recall games where I throw the ball out and then I pair the recall back with me, then I won't throw the ball, then I'll ask just for the recall, and I want to see some of that same behavior. And once I can see that behavior and the dog is willing to engage, what I'll do is I'll walk to a different environment and I would proof this behavior. So for example, I would go outside our property. We were lucky to have some space out there, and I won't do anything formal. The dog knows I have stuff, but I haven't tried to show the dog anything. Then I will just walk out the gate and let the dog run on its own. And I just want to see what the dog's going to do. So obviously when you do this, you want to pick a nice, safe environment where as I said, it's not busy and people don't frequent that, or dogs don't frequent that often. And then I'll just let the dog go, and then I'll see what the dog does. As you can see, the dog wants to stalk the sheep. So this is a perfect opportunity to see if the dog is going to be able to recall. So you see she's distracted, and this is perfect. I want her to do this. And then we'll see if what we've been doing works. I've got no collar on the dog. I've got no way of holding her accountable, but I'm pretty confident that I will be able to recall her because of the work we've done, right? Sorry, the gate's just closing. Let me just open it again. And as you can see, it's not a completely finished trained dog. So I'm showing you these things as they happen, so you know what to expect and what you can do. If I brought out Mako, who's the mother, it wouldn't really make sense, because she wouldn't make too many mistakes or things that you would normally come across. So this is a green dog by all means, and she's real distracted. She's running around, and then now we're gonna see. Viper, here! Free, go on. So now we see that exact same behavior we were seeing with the ball. So the dog, like I said, now she's been given the free command. She can do whatever she wants, and I'm not gonna put any pressure on her to stay with me or do anything like that, because when I ask for the recall, she has to drop whatever she is that she's doing. But because we've created this language where, hey, you can have this free time, you can do whatever you want, as long as when I ask you to do something, you do it, we've managed to have that understanding with each other, when we've managed to have that relationship with each other, so that the recall now isn't really a command, let's say. It's more of a, hey, I need your attention for a minute. Because the dog knows I'm not gonna bore the crap out of it. I'm not gonna hold her there for no reason. I'm not gonna stop her from doing what she's doing. I'm simply just calling her back because there's a situation that I need her attention. I need her to be with me. Then as soon as that's done, she can go off, do whatever she wants. So why wouldn't the dog listen? Why wouldn't the dog? But if you don't give the opportunity for the dog to go do things like this and experience things and be a dog on its own, especially when they're younger, or why would they want to recall? Every time you call them, you're taking them away from something they want to enjoy doing. She wants to sniff the grass. I call her and then I make her focus on me for 20 minutes. Of course, the next time I ask her for a recall, she's not going to do it. Why would she? And then that's when people start using compulsion and they want to put e-collars and stuff like that. I've got no problems with that, but it has to be done properly. So with a dog like this, with this upbringing that she's had, when I bring in the e-collar, because like I said, always consistency comes with outcome. If there has to be a negative and a positive outcome for both things. So now we've done a lot of positive and the dog understands. And when I'm confident the dog understands, then the compulsion can be introduced. Then she can be exposed to higher challenges where she really doesn't want to recall, because whatever it is so much more rewarding than whatever I'm going to give her. And that's when you can start introducing compulsion. And when you can put those two together and you can balance things, when you're a balanced trainer, then you can have the perfect picture. And then you have a happy dog and you don't have to worry about taking your dog to the park or doing all these things and, you know, the dog just blowing you off because you're the least interesting person there. So essentially what I'm saying in a nutshell is be interesting, right? Be interesting to your dog, be fun. When you recall, always do something fun, especially in the early stages. And when you've done that, you will have a recall like this. Show the dog. Oh, I think she's gonna take a dump. Probably don't recall the dog when it's doing that, but we'll let her finish that and then we'll call her back. Viper, here. Yeah, go on then. And that's how you, that's the next step. And then after this, I'll start talking about what reinforces you can, positive and negative reinforcement you can use, how to introduce the e-collar properly, because you do need to introduce it properly. And yeah, just different things on how to make that recall 100% proofed. Because right now we're halfway there, we've only done the positive, then there will be another video on how to negatively reinforce it as well. Because negative reinforcement, believe it or not, is actually stronger than positive reinforcement. And when you have both of them, positive and negative, it just completes the picture. And thanks guys for tuning in. We'll catch you on the next one. If you have any topics that you want me to discuss, leave it in the comments. Like, subscribe, and we'll leave it at that. You done, huh? Hey?